Walking inside van. Of course, I've got some stuff in here, so this is just extra stuff, and these are my chairs, but those will probably go out. I have gone ahead and started the van up just so that it can get warmed up. But I have the sunscreen, and this sunscreen is held up against the windshield with the sun visors. And I also hold it up with this because that helps it keep it up and it doesn't sag in the middle, because otherwise it'll sag in the middle. Anyway, what I'll do with this is I'll just roll it up, and then I'll put it away. And I don't normally use it unless we're gonna be staying in the van and I need the privacy, and when the van is parked. So walking over here, towards the back, what I've got is these are the main controls for the van. This switch here turns on the 12 volt to the van. So once you turn this on, the lights, as you can see, this switch turns on the internal lights. It also controls these lights, and these lights you push in, push out. These get a little warm. It also controls these lights, and these lights are 12 volt controlled by here. You also have an external light. It's just outside near the electrical plug. It's just a little light, but it's kind of nice when it's all dark. You just want to have an external light. This is the pump, and what this does is this controls the water pump. So to use the sink, that switch has to be turned on, because that's the running water. And it's also the water for the toilet. And this is the toilet. The toilet is a cassette toilet, so it'll have to be, there is no tank, but it holds about 5 gallons, maybe. That's pushing it. But once once you open the toilet, if you look inside the toilet, there is a flap there at the bottom, and that flap will open and close with this lever here. It's a plastic lever, so it doesn't need a lot of strength, and it'd be easier if you it just moves up and down. So normally, well, you want to keep it closed because that also keeps the smell inside the cassette. But this is your flusher, so you press this and water comes out into the tank, into the bowl. If you're going to poop, I'd say put a little. You have to be careful with the water because that will fill up the cassette. The cassette's good for maybe 2 to 3, and for me, it'll probably, I can use it for half a week before I have to empty it out. But I normally, if I'm going to use it to poop, I try not to, but if I do, I'll put a little bit of water in there just so that just to lubricate it as it goes down. Once you open up the latch and you close it, then it's gone. So, and then you can give it a rinse. And once you give it a rinse, oh, there's a little spider. Then you give it a little rinse and then drop it in there and then close it. I normally keep it closed. I do not use this just because the sink is so small, and I normally keep other stuff here, but I do not use this to wash my hands or wash. I normally will just come out here since it's pretty close. So I normally use that. If you do decide you want to use that, just be careful because it will splash. And there is a window here, just a ventilation window. I usually keep it cracked. And there's also a ventilation window here. The windows are going to be, the windows are a little tricky. It's not the windows, but the shades. You just turn this a little bit, and that will give you some ventilation, some cross ventilation, and the cross ventilation is actually pretty good. The fan up here is electric, so once this switch is turned on, then you can actually just turn this on, and it will raise the cover to the fan. And the fan has a temperature control, but remember, this is 12 volt, and if the van's off, you will be using up the battery. I'm gonna turn it off, and then I want to close it. When I turn it off, now you can turn it by hand, but it is it's a little hard because it's mechanical. Close it. I thought I had a reverse, but I usually, if I'm going to use it, I'll just crack it. Well, not crack it, but enough so that there's some ventilation, because the hot air goes to the top. But I do, when you drive, it's important that it's closed. And if it opens up all the way, it will stop by itself. And then what you do is you just press the button, and it will close by itself. So for instance, I'm gonna just let it open up all the way. And while and actually it's closed. Okay, so I'm good. You have a 12 volt here. The inverter is only like if you're plugged in to shore power. You have a refrigerator. The refrigerator runs on 12 volts. So that is also off when this is off. So if you're going to use the refrigerator, this switch needs to be off. It needs to be on. And when it's running on 12 volt, you can put it on coldest, and you can see the green light will start on, and it'll start to work. I have issues with this guy. I guess one of these days I'm gonna have to read the instructions. But as you can see, if I turn this off, I also want to turn the pump off. When you're finished with the pump, it's really not recommended to have the pump running on all the time, only when you need the running water. So yes, if that big switch is off, so is the refrigerator, which is good. Refrigerator wise, what I do is you do have to be careful when you close it. Just latch it in good. Same thing here, because it does tend to open. I do have just some wear and tear with these latches, and they don't seem to hold up as well. So just a matter of just closing it, keeping it closed, making sure that it's closed, locked, doors are locked. There's some mosquito repellent up here. There's some paper plates and there's some paper plates, just regular kind of stuff. These buttons, you press it in, and then you twist, and that will release it. There's some miscellaneous coffee cups, pharmaceuticals, blah blah blah. This is Yvonne's charger. It's an Apple charger, so when it's running and when it's on, you can keep it charged. Same thing here. You just twist open, and little closet, not too big of a closet, but you know, just maybe just pour some stuff in. The idea is just not to put too much heavy stuff on here, because it is not designed to have a lot of heavy stuff. The back here, what you want to what your this is a folding bed, so you pick it up and then bring it forward and drop it, and that becomes your bed. Now you can use it this way, and it becomes two twins, one on each side, or you can take the table that is located back here. This is the table. You can unsnap the table from the table side, and that table will fit here between these two rails, and it will fit here, and then these cushions will go between here, these two cushions, and these two cushions will be part of the mattress. The thing is, it's nice because it's a king size bed, but if you have to get up, you only have this little area to get up on. So I kind of like it this way, because you have walkway and you have accessibility to anything that's here. The air conditioner, of course, you've got to be plugged in to use it, and you've got, of course, your temperature setting, and you've got this is your fan speed. It is pretty loud, but it works pretty well, and it takes a little bit to cool, but once it's cooled down, it works fairly well. So that's a quick overview of the van. Obviously, you know, this is your stick shift, and here are your deals. Now, you do want to make sure that when you're in drive, you want to look at, you know, keep an eye on your RPMs. Your RPMs when you're driving shouldn't go over 30. If you're going over 30 or 3,000, that means that you're not in the correct drive mode. So it's going to be either low drive. You know, that's actually dropping a gear. So that the gear shifts back and forth. So you just have to be careful. I've only done it once where I was driving and it was like, man, this thing is revving pretty high, and I was on the expressway and I realized that my transmission wasn't in the correct place.